Oh. Hello, everyone. My name is Vincent van Beuzenkom, co-founder of technologycatalog.com, and I'll act as the host for the webinar today. I'll be joined by Ernie Lamza from the North Sea Transition Authority and Colin Black from Cargen Energy, our partner in the UK. Today, we'll be discussing how you can grow your business as a technology supplier using the UK Energy Technology Platform. Ernie will kick off in a minute, and he will actually introduce himself, explaining a little bit how we're working together with the NSTA and to drive their Accelerate Deployment program. After that, Colin will give an introduction of the UK Energy Technology Platform, and I will take over afterwards and actually showing you how you sign up, what the features are for you as a technology supplier on the platform. And at the end, there's plenty of time for Q&A. Before I hand over to Ernie in a second, I just want to point out that if you have any questions during the session, then please make sure that you use the chat functionality, and we will pick up the questions at the end of the session. Ernie, may I hand over to you? You introduce yourself.
Yes, you may, Vincent. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear, thanks.
Very good. I speak from a very snowy Aberdeen. There's very large snowflakes blowing outside the building right now, so it's must still be winter. So thank you very much for the introduction, Vincent. As you say, my name is Ernie Lamza. I'm a senior technology advisor, and I work for the North Sea Transition Authority based here in Aberdeen. And I just wanted to try and say a few words to set the scene here. So first of all, many of you may be aware that the North Sea Transition Authority requires all UK operators to submit technology plans and to complete a technology survey every year. And that's been going on for a number of years now. From that information that we receive, we feed back insights periodically to the industry. But from that information, it's very clear to see that there is a good deployment of technology among several operators. But out of the 70 or so operators who submit this information, there's a very large number who are struggling with deploying new technology. So what we'd like to try and do within the NSTA is to get everybody up to the standard of the best, and then to improve that standard as we move through time. So one of the vehicles that we try to use to achieve this is we work through one of the industry task forces, the one called the Technology Leadership Board. And it has a number of facets, including a work stream called the Accelerate Deployment work stream. And the name kind of says what it does. It tries to increase the uptake and deployment of technologies, generally which have already been proven. But for whatever reason, and there are often many reasons, those technologies perhaps haven't been deployed fully across the basin. So one of the things that the Accelerate Deployment workstream uses is the Technology Managers Network, which is a collective of around 250 industry professionals from both operators and the supply chain. And we try to arrange get-togethers every couple of months or so. And we'll offer the opportunity for operators to talk about some of the challenges that they face and some of the ways that they've resolved some of those challenges, and perhaps talk about how they've still got gaps in that ability. And we also offer the opportunity to technology developers to come and talk about the great products and services that they've developed, and really trying to raise awareness of what's available to end users to solve some of their challenges and to do better business, basically. So these are things that are already happening, that are continuing to proceed with. But we felt about the middle of last year that we could perhaps do more. So we had some lengthy discussions with Vincent and his colleagues, and really then struck up an arrangement with them to widen the access to their UK energy technology platform. Now, I think most of you on the call are probably aware of what that is and how it works, so I won't go into that detail. But the essence of the arrangement that the NSTA came to with UK ETP was to lower the barriers to both developers wanting to post their technology online on their system, and end users wanting to see lots of interesting technologies rather than just one or two on the system. So we paid UK ETP some money to basically remove those barriers. So UK-based technology developers are able to post unlimited numbers of their technologies for free on the system. And equally, the end users or the operators, tier one contractors, consultants, etc., who might be interested in seeing those are able to go online for no charge as well. So I would encourage everybody who hasn't taken that up so far, if obviously you may have done if you're on this call already, but if you know others who haven't, then please encourage them to do so. So ultimately, what we're hoping to achieve here is to achieve critical mass where there are sufficient technology developers posting about the technologies to make it of interest to the operators, and equally the operators see that there's sufficient motivation to look at that, and that stimulates the developers wanting to appear on the platform. So it's trying to encourage both parties to basically get on board here. And our end objective is really aligned with the TLB's Accelerate Deployment workstream, which is to increase the uptake and the use of such technologies in the UKCS, and to start benefiting from what these technologies can offer. So it might be to improve safety or reduce GHG emissions, increase production efficiency, increase reserves that can be accessed, and other things as well. So we're really trying to increase that end uptake and use of the technologies to everyone's benefit.
So essentially what you see here is the homepage of the UK Energy Technology Platform, for those of you that have not seen it before. The platform is actually a collaboration between our UK partner, Colin Black, and ourselves, technologycatalog.com. And essentially it's completely tailored towards the UK energy business, but utilizes the database of our global platform, technologycatalog.com. What you will see on the platform is that all technologies that are published on the platform are actually categorized along the lines of the NSTA focus areas that you see here. And I'll give you an example of how technologies are featured in a minute. But before I do so, I would like to spend a little bit of time on actually the deal that we have in place now together with the NSTA, as Ernie was mentioning. So as of 1st of November last year, our basic level exploring access is being sponsored for individual users by the NSTA. This allows all people working for UK operators or EPC contractors or the likes to essentially have unlimited browsing access for the platform. At the same time, the NSTA is also sponsoring the basic level subscription for technology suppliers, and that's what we will focus on today. In the session that I will be sharing at the end, I will actually take you through the process of how to register and how to set up your technology page. However, before we do so, I think it's also nice to mention that since the start of this agreement that we have in place with the NSTA last November, we've actually seen a very significant uptake from both the users part, from UK operators and EPC contractors, as well as an inflow of technologies from UK suppliers. And we can say that effectively from all the top UK operators, we have one or multiple users of the platform, and we also have a couple of UK operators that are actually very actively using this platform, and they are the likes of Harbour Energy, Taka, Repsol Sinopec, and Shell UK. But those are actually the metrics that we were planning to share in Colin's part of the presentation, and we will share those insights with you after the webinar. What is also good to mention is that the UK Energy Technology Platform in itself is not a standalone tool. It has been integrated also with the technology section of the website of the NSTA, and we are also working on an integration with the Pathfinder tool for those of you that may be familiar with that. So, having said that, I would like to show you a little bit more of the functionality on the platform before we go through the registration flow. So, for those of you that are not yet so familiar with the platform, if you navigate from the homepage, you can either, as an end user, start searching for technology using the search bar, or use one of the categories that are shown below. And we could, for example, click on well drilling and construction, and that would then give you an overview of technologies. And you see immediately, actually, this is not completely anonymous. If you then want to scroll further, you can only do that with an account. Actually, for the purpose of the session today, I have set up an account that we will use also for the flow later on. So let me just log in. As you can see, it's just a dummy account for myself. Just going back to where we were a minute ago, so the well drilling and construction section. That I'm logged in, I can browse through these technologies. Now, what you will see is that all technologies that are uploaded on the platform are being displayed in exactly the same way. So if I just click an arbitrary one, wellhead retrieval clamps, you will see short introduction of the technology. Very important, the state of the technology readiness level, pictures or videos that can be uploaded here, the key pros and cons, the opportunity for interested end users to reach out directly to you as a supplier. We have some standard questions here, but interested parties can also just type freely. The key specifications, a profile for your company, a section that we call relative business impact, and let me explain that for a second. So, of course, there's quite a wide range of technologies on the platform, and to say something meaningful regarding the actual impact of the technology, we have selected what we call a method by relative business impact. So, as a technology supplier, you have 10 points to distribute amongst the 4 themes that you see here: CO2 footprint reduction, cost reduction, production enhancement, or safety improvement. And that allows end users to quickly see where the technology makes most impact and to see if it's aligning with their goals. And here on the right-hand side, you can actually also see deployment references. Now, the point up to here is actually controlled by the technology supplier. So I will show in a minute how you actually can set up and maintain a page as a technology supplier. And the only role that we have as technologycatalog.com is effectively the Q&A part for your page. A process that we do control is the review process. So users on the platform can leave reviews on the technology. And this can be from end user clients, but also, for example, from independent consultants that have experience with your technology. And it doesn't need to be a lengthy review. It can be a very short positive note or just simple experience how the technology has been used in practice by the end user. And you can browse through the platform to also see some examples of that. Now let me go back. So what you will see, and I'll just pick an arbitrary other example, just to give you the flavor, that this is just another type of technology, and you'll see it follows exactly the same template as we've just gone through with the other page. From the overview, end users can actually zoom in further using the filters on the left or using the search bar at the top. So with this, I would actually like to take you through the process of how to add your technology to the platform and build your first page. And in order to do that, I will actually quickly log out again, because that's the easiest way to show you and take you through the process. So on the home page, on the top right, you also see this register technology function. If you click on it, you would again see a banner with the details of the deal with the NSTA. And you also see the 3 plans that we have available for technology suppliers. We have the starter plan, which is our basic plan, which essentially gives you the technology page as I've just shown you. And this is the plan that's being sponsored by the NSTA. In addition, you can also select the growth plan or the pro plan. The main additional feature of the growth plan is that you actually get access to the analytics for your page. And later on, I'll show you an example for that. The pro plan is our highest end plan. And on top of that analytics, you also get additional support from us. You, for example, get the opportunity to present or pitch your technology in our frequent webinars. But we also offer more detailed support to really make sure that your technology page is set up in such a way in terms of keywords, pictures, messaging, that it really resonates with the end user clients that we work with. Good to mention that on a frequent basis, we work with our end user clients with the content of the platform to support them in their technology screening activities. If you want to make use of the NSTA deal, you can also add an unlimited number of technologies to the platform. So this is what I will show you today. So what you will do is that you will select the starter plan, because that's the plan that's sponsored by the NSTA at the moment, and then simply click submit at the bottom right. If you're not logged in, this will actually take you through the process where you have to create your account. And as said, I had already prepared that prior to the webinar, so I will just log in again to show you the next step. Go. So take you to the step where you get. If you create an account and you then log in, there will actually be a step in between that I'm not showing you now, but which I've already done prior to the webinar, is that you have to verify your email address. So you will receive a one-time login link by email. You click on it, and then effectively it starts the onboarding process. So in my case, I just have to open up this screen. So it will remember the choice of the plan that you've made. Then you can complete the registration by filling in your billing address. This is mainly for us to confirm that you are a UK supplier, so that you're entitled to making use of the deal. At the moment, we actually don't have a voucher code yet that you can enter. It's something that we're working on. So we have a very simple process, is that the fee for the starter plan for UK suppliers is simply not invoiced at the moment. So you can simply register through the process, even though it says 150 euros here, you can just proceed. And as noted on the previous page here at the top, it actually says that the discount will be handled post registration. So what I'll do is I'll save you looking at me filling out all of these fields, but I will actually take you to the tab that I had prepared, how you can actually see on how to edit a technology page. So let me just switch tabs to the page that I had set up for you. So once you have completed the registration, essentially that step of filling in your billing info, you're being taken to your page builder. And again, I'm using an example here where I've already populated some of the field with a dummy technology. So the page builder shows you all the fields that effectively have also shown on the technology page a minute ago. So you have to set your title, your subtitle, a thumbnail image for the card that you will see on the technology overview. And then here you can enter all your information. Noting that in the pros and cons section, in addition to the pros, we always ask you to upload at least one con to balance your pros. And effectively, that's just a way to well, increase the level of credibility of also the information that you provide on your technology. Then there's an area that you didn't see on the published page, and that's the tags section. Here you can set specific tags giving the details for your technology, and this will actually determine on which modules on the platform your technology will appear. And prior to publication, this is also a section that we will check for you, such that the way that you've tagged your technology is along the lines of where we see a match with the various modules on the platform. And this links again to the filter settings that we were seeing on the technology overview page earlier. Here you see the specification section. I'm just going through this relatively quickly because I think once you get into edit mode, this should be fairly straightforward. The area where you can upload the images and video links. And last but not least, the technology readiness level. Once you've uploaded all your information, you just hit the submit for publication box and save. And then our team receives a message, and that starts the Q&A process. And typically within a few hours or maximum one working day, you get feedback if the technology page is deemed ready for publication by us. The profile for your company is actually uploaded in a different tab within your toolbox. So we were editing the technology from this My Technologies tab, and actually in my demo environment, I have multiple technologies here. but you also see a tab, My Company Details. So this is where you edit the description of your company, but you can also add your company logo. This is actually only possible if you are the admin of your company's account on the platform. So if you want to edit this, but you don't see the edit button, just contact us, and then we'll check if you're the admin or if it's someone else already in your team that had signed up before you. As admin, you can actually also manage the team. So you could see you have a My Team section. This is where you can invite colleagues. And if you have multiple technologies on the platform, you can, for example, also manage the permissions of editors or who has access to analytics, etc., using this tab. So mentioning the multiple technologies, if you're done with your first technology, you will actually see a button here, request to add technology, and that will send us a note where you can request for us to add multiple technologies to your profile. So this is actually the core part of what the starter subscription entails, which is sponsored by NSTA. I think it's worthwhile also to give you a bit of an impression, mainly of the analytics part that you would get if you would, for example, go for the Growth or Pro subscription. And for that, I would actually like to use a live example of this technology, which is called the Double Block and Bleed Saver. You can see actually this technology has an extra link in the toolbox that takes them to the analytics page. And the analytics page for a technology is always built up in a standard template. It starts with showing you a range of logos of the companies from where users have actually looked at this technology in the last 90 days. You see a broad list here actually one that appears multiple times in our database. And then below that, you see some key analytics. So you see the total number of page views of this technology. You see the clicks on the page, and actually for the clicks, as you can see in this donut chart, you will actually see how many went to the company website, how many viewed the videos, and here's actually another video by them. So you can actually check if your content that you provide is being viewed. You will also see the average time that people spend on the page, so you can see if the information that you provide is balanced in terms of the time that people have to typically digest it. You see the page views over time here on the right-hand side, and you will actually also see with the different color coding if the page views are coming from the UK platform or from the global platform. But you can see for Australia we have a similar platform as for the UK. And last but not least, a global chart indicating where actually the visits to your page came from. And you can actually, as you can see, you can zoom that in and out. So that actually concludes the part around the main features and related to the growth plan and the pro plan, the analytics. There's one last feature that I want to show, which is available in your toolbox. So when I showed the initial technology pages, I showed the feature where end users can reach out to you as a supplier from your technology page. If they actually send a message to you, you would also see them in the messages section in your inbox. So here you see again a dummy message in my own account, and this is where you can interact with end users that show an interest in your technology, and you can share attachments or things like that. Or what we see very often is it's also being used as a first step to just simply book a meeting with the interested end user, and then explore further outside of the platform, which is perfectly fine with us. Colin, since we have about 10 minutes left for this this webinar, maybe you want to just add a few words on top of what I already mentioned earlier around the UK Energy Technology Platform, if it comes to numbers, and then suggest we go to the Q&A afterwards.
Yeah, so the key link that we have with the technologycatalog.com is the fact that we're aligned to Ernie and his team at NSTA along the categories, and so that allows us to then look at the links with the NSTA website. And what we've found is that with that support, we've had a significant increase in the number of end users using the platform. Specifically for UK end users, we've had an increase of over 230 end users joined since there. So we've got over 765 with over 620 technologies and over 300,000 in the community. So certainly growing dramatically. And as you said earlier, almost every one of those 70 operators that Ernie spoke about are using the platform, including the contractors, Wood, Worley, etc. So significant uptake.
All right. Thanks, Colin. Should we move to Q&A? A few questions came in already. So I think, Ernie, you answered one question that you could read, but not all the participants, I think, could read the question. So
well, that's everybody, isn't it?
It's the A&Q session.
Answering mystery questions.
Yeah, no. So the question was that Ernie stated that a large number of operators are struggling to deploy new technology, and what are the main reasons, maybe three, that operators typically raise when it comes to preventing them from implementing new technology? That was the question, and maybe just for the benefit of all, Ernie, maybe you can just answer the question.
Yes.
In the meantime, if you have any other questions, just type them in the chat, and either Colin, Ernie, or myself will answer them for you.
Yeah, so in no particular order, the three that came to mind were, for a number of these companies, they may not, it may not be of any relevance to their asset. If they're not looking to drill any new wells, for example, then they're probably not interested in new well type technology. And there's lots of other examples where that might apply. Lack of awareness of the existence of a particular technology is a key one, I think. Clearly, they're never going to deploy a developer's technology if they've never heard of it or are not aware of it. And then and this one's a bit more cultural, unwillingness to embrace the new. And that new technology can be completely brand new, i.e. first deployment, and I recognise that's a challenging space to be. But it can also be new to a particular operator. So it may have been deployed by half a dozen or many more operators multiple times, and it has become business as usual for them. But if another operator isn't familiar with it and isn't comfortable with it, then perhaps it's a bit more of a hurdle for them to get over to try taking it up. So and I think that's where this platform kind of help solve that some of these particular challenges. And there's one feature on the site where you might have noticed in the example that Vincent took through, or one of the examples, there was a logo of one of the oil companies there. So the developers are encouraged to say where they've deployed before, and that really helps other operators to be more likely to get in touch, and either with the other operator who's mentioned and get the inside track, so to speak, or they'll come and ask you, the developer, directly to say, hey, I see you're working with X oil company. Can you tell me anything about it, or get a bit more information on it? So it lowers the barriers, I think, if operators see that other operators of the peer group have already used the tech.
And that's an important point there, Ernie, because quite often we wonder why an operator is not going to be first. Well, but the way to be first is to be second, to be a fast follower, to look on the platform and find what technologies have been deployed by multiple people first, deploy that technology, learn from the deployment, gain the value and the benefit, and you're in a much better position to then look at something a lot lower down the TRL level. So you're right, that lack of visibility was what we identified in the OEUK-led efficiency task force, which I was the vice chair of, and the whole reason I got involved here. So certainly the lack of visibility, we've addressed that with this platform. So, other questions, Vincent?
Yeah, so I see another one coming in. How many technologies have been deployed directly from being resourced from the catalog? So probably I'll take that one myself. So linking it to our own data. So I think it's maybe the easiest, but maybe not the most satisfying answer is that we would say multiple, but I'll explain how that's set up, because essentially what we track is the interaction between suppliers and end users. So, on a daily basis, connections are being made between suppliers and end users using the message functionality, or as I brought up earlier, where we support operators through their screening activities. And then, the follow-up is actually between supplier and end users themselves. So we are less, let's say, on top of that part. However, through the feedback loop, so it's more indicative, we hear from several suppliers how they have been successful in landing business with operators. And we actually see it also a little bit on the trail. So actually the technology that I showed the data analytics dashboard for is that we could see the interaction, for example, from one of the UK operators looking at their page, sending messages, so all very positive. And then a few weeks later, coincidentally, I was speaking to the supplier, feeding back, hey, great, we are now in discussion for deployment with that particular operator. And I could just say, hey, that doesn't surprise us because we could see it in the data. And that's actually something that's I would say it's connections being made on a daily basis, but of course also with the contract cycle, sometimes deploying a drone for an inspection is simpler and typically a shorter process than the whole process of implementing a new process technology as part of a brownfield project, where maybe the actual date to implementation can be sometimes more than 18 months beyond the actual identification date. So I realized maybe it's not a number that I could give you, Ian, but hopefully that gives you an impression. Then I see a question. One of the biggest issues I see is that clients are risk averse to new technologies as they require track history. How do you find this with your research, and how do you think this can be solved?
So we work along. One of the things we work along closely with is with the NZDC, who work on the early development of technology and involve operators in there. But because we're linked now with almost all of the operators together, we can see commonalities of problems or challenges, shall we say. So it's a lot easier for us, rather than trying to target one specific operator, to work across multiple operators and actually share projects and get involved at an early stage. So that's one thing that we've seen, certainly with the technologies without track record. And then the other thing that we see is a lot of internationalization. So technologies being deployed internationally around the world. And numerous UK operators, for example, will keep a watch on them. So they'll they'll follow that technology. And at a recent NSTA task force, Wales task force forum, one of the things that was brought up was that the operators were aware of technology, but they weren't aware of the track record being built up, and they were much more likely to start deploying it when they'd seen it deployed elsewhere. So it's this bit about raising awareness and open communication, which was completely invisible in the past. It relied on lunch and learns, multiple exhibitions, and now you can follow that online live 24/7.
Yeah, and perhaps I can chip in also there on myself. So I didn't mention that during the introduction, but before starting this company 5 years ago, I had a technology deployment role in Shell, where essentially this was a daily effort in terms of working with the assets around the globe in replicating technology that had been used in other assets, but also bringing in new technology. So in that sense, actually, it's also it depends a little bit on the type of technology. Sometimes also this risk averseness can be reduced if, for example, technology is using components that are already being accepted in the industry and it's just stretching the boundaries. In other times, it may be that you would plan how to phase it towards bringing in the technology towards the live asset in reducing the risk and while getting comfortable with the benefits along the way. So in that sense, it's not a straight answer, and it's actually very technology dependent. Or sometimes even we see that it's been very successfully used in other industries, and then you really look at, okay, what's different in our industry and what is the particular risk that needs to be managed to make it successful. And I think there's another question. I think that's also the last question that we have time for. Oh, actually two questions. So if we go quick, we can probably catch both of those. So the question is, from our experience, once the technology is developed and accepted by the client, getting contractual instruments in place that will allow deployment of the technology on an asset is a major obstacle. Since most new technology developers are small, their profile is such that access to the technology deployment is via third-party participants that have an existing contract with the operator. Such arrangement can be a showstopper for many reasons. I agree that is actually a challenge from time to time, particularly if the contract holder that you have to work with may have different interests, right? In that sense, I think that's no secret that we sometimes see, for example, efficiency enhancing technologies where it's really easy for the operator to say, oh, just go to our maintenance contractor who may not have an interest in that particular technology. Also there, I can say I've lived through that. And it's actually something where we are also very active in working with our clients to make them see that it's not as simple as that. Because if they're not pushing let's say the contract holder to start using this technology or essentially demanding that the technology is being used, then they cannot expect such a contract holder to be proactive in that space. They also have to look at their own contractual arrangements to see how can we make using those technologies beneficial for everyone involved. And it's really, I mean, what we call it's the balance between who's getting all the benefits and who's taking the risk in terms of deploying the technology, or who's going to be accountable for deploying the technology. And if you want to learn more about that, then suggest just reach out outside of this webinar. Last question. The 4 relative business impact criteria do not include an environmental performance score, only a CO2 footprint reduction metric. Can this 5th criteria be added? And if so, if NSTA and operators agree, it would be useful as a broader CSR measure. In theory, this could be added. We have decided that we would stick to these 4 for the moment because it's, as said, it's mostly indicative, and from time to time we do get suggestions for other ones, including this one. But for example, also on the safety part, we were discussing if it should be personal safety, process safety, if the split should be different, also 2 quite large topics. So for the moment, we are collecting that feedback, So we will include this on the list, and by the time we revisit that feature, we will definitely keep that in mind.
Excellent.
All right, so I think we're out of time for today's session. Colin, any closing remarks from your end before we sign off?
No, just that for the technology companies on board, the call here, certainly, I can't encourage you too much. Ernie and the team at NSTA have made it, there is no barriers to do that. Vincent's definitely showing you how easy it is to add on. And then the next part of it is getting in front of the end clients, the operators, the contractors, and we're doing that on a daily basis. So please get on board, join us, and we'll showcase you across the world 24/7.
Yeah, I would certainly echo that, Colin. I think this gives, partly in response to one of the earlier questions, this platform gives you a direct route into the operators, because as we've seen, a number of their staff are already logged in. I think Harbour in particular have got multiple people who look at the platform regularly. So they and other operator staff will be seeing these things, and if they're aware of them and they know that the contractors who they've got on board are not using them, they'll be asking some hard questions. So I think getting on the platform is a great place to be.
Excellent. Thank you, Ernie.
Yeah. Thanks, gents. Hey, and indeed, so if you have any questions also about the registration flow, then just contact us via the platform. But hopefully after today, it will be smooth sailing through the process. And once again, apologies for our end, why somehow the PowerPoint from Colin wouldn't display, but we'll share it with the participants afterwards. And since it's mainly metrics on giving you some user statistics, we believe it should be quite self-explanatory after the webinar of today. So thanks, and we hope to see you again in one of our future webinars. If you're interested, then just watch the webinar section on the platform. The next one will be the end of March, focusing on technologies for decarbonization. And you can register via the site. Thanks very much and have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye all.